I'm joined by Dr. Brent Myers from Wake County EMS and Joe Durham, our Deputy County Manager, to talk about one of the Commissioner's goals from 2012, which is improving efficiencies and effectiveness for EMS and the fire system. Thank you all for being with us.
Thank you. It's good being here.
Glad to be here.
Mr. Durham, let's start with you and talk about the Commissioners. They recently hosted the Bayleaf groundbreaking at the fire station. Tell us the importance of this project as it relates to our residents and improving efficiencies.
That was a great event for Bayleaf and also a better event, I think, for Wake County as a whole. The fire station there was originally built in the 80s, and it was built when we had a different system, relying more so on volunteers. Now, of course, 30 years later, it's much more of a professional organization. The old building was small. The new building that will be renovated will be multi-story, two-story facility with about 16,000 square feet. And I think it's indicative of us wanting to do a better job in terms of responding to calls in the area, doing a better job, of course, of being more efficient and effective in that area. So I think it's a great event for Wake County and Bayleaf.
And looking at EMS, there's been some changes in the last year or so to improve efficiencies through your system as well. Can you tell us about those?
Sure. I think the first thing that's important for the citizens is it is transparent to the citizen when you call 911 what agency may respond or what first response agency may respond. The number one outcome that we measure is patient outcome. How does the patient do after they call us? So with that in mind, we then design the system to look at other efficiencies and effectiveness as long as the patient outcomes don't change. So with that underpinning, some things have changed in the system. The first has been the revenue model. Under the old system, each agency collected their own revenue, and then we offset that against a list of charges. Where we are today is that all the revenue comes into a central area, and we then can budget each agency in a similar manner. And that allows us to have much more oversight, much more control, and also prevents there from being some of the issues that we've experienced in the past with agencies that were not exactly the best stewards of the taxpayer dollars, accountability and things such as that have closed some other agencies. We now have kind of taken that off the table. So the centralized revenue model is helpful in that regard. The last thing I want to say about the way the system has been redesigned is that we have now a fourfold way that we look at quality. The first of those, as we've already mentioned, is patient outcome, and we've been looking at that. We now have a patient satisfaction external survey where we are monitoring not only how well we think we're doing, but how well the patients think we're doing. We're looking at the financial model and making sure that we're being good stewards of the taxpayer dollar. And then finally, we're looking at our own internal education to make sure that our providers have the best education and the best training in the country so that they can provide that best service to the citizen.
A moment ago, we were talking about Bayleaf, and over in that part of the county, Station 3 is going to be a co-located facility with EMS and Fire. What is the benefit of that for our residents?
The notion that there needs to be a separate station for fire and EMS is sometimes true depending on the geographic location, but most often fire stations are well located in the community, and it makes sense for us from a capital perspective not to add an additional building, but rather to share one that exists. We have had that relationship actually with the Bayleaf Fire number 3 for a number of years, dating back to the Six Forks EMS days. But this is going to expand that relationship and allow us to have extra areas of storage for our units, for the EMS units, as the Bayleaf folks transition to their new station.
Mr. Durham, as we look at the fire system, the fire tax district has been getting a little bit smaller over the years. What is the impact of that and how we continue to provide quality services?
We live in an area, of course, that is experiencing tremendous growth. Our population now is about 940,000 people or so, and that has caused a decreasing amount of area that's served by the nonprofit fire departments. So we've had also a shrinking or a tax base that has not been increasing. But at the same time, over the last 10 years, we've had a doubling of our fire expenditures. So we've got to look at, as the same has been done in emergency medical services, looking at mergers and consolidations. We believe that that will create some better efficiencies because we do not have a sustainable model at this stage.
About a year and a half ago, we opened the new Garner co-located facility. What is the benefit to that community, particularly, of having those shared services?
I will speak first from the EMS side, and then we can touch on the fire side as well. But from the EMS perspective, there was an area in that district, which, as you know, is approaching the Johnston County line in the kind of the southeast corner there, that there was no way for an ambulance to arrive at the home in a reasonable period of time, just from geography's perspective. So this allowed us to enter into that area with a shared cost rather than with a unique cost for EMS. And I'm sure the same is true on the fire suppression side. That area that had no coverage now has coverage for both of these essential public safety elements with a shared cost rather than two individual costs to the community.
Is there anything else you'd like to add on that?
I just think it's important too, again, with our theme of providing more effective service, this does allow us to do that. By having that unit, that fire station there, allows us to have a better response for residents living in that area. So it has, I think, increased the effectiveness of fire service in that area.
Looking to the future, what is the next things that our residents would be seeing as far as efficiencies and improving service?
I think on the fire side, again, I want to reemphasize that we're still looking at those mergers and consolidations. I think also we want to be able, because it's first unit response right now, the closest unit response, is that we need to look at our fire service districts, our first responder districts, and try to get those lines merged. Again, looking at the consolidations as they present opportunities for us in the future. So those are the things that we'll be trying to focus on. And again, we want to make sure that we're not raising taxes in that area, that we're being as cost effective and efficient as we can.
And this month actually marks my 10th year with Wake County, so I can say that for the 10 years that I've been here, every year we reevaluate the cost structure of the current EMS system design versus additional mergers and consolidations. And each of the years that I've been here, those have come to fruition, and that we have looked at the cost structure and said it makes more sense today to have this agency merge with this one or that one with the other one, and we're continuing to look at that with that, again, that emphasis on quality. The other issue that is coming before us is that we kind of now have a roadmap for healthcare reform, and EMS revenue models are going to change. So with our advanced practice paramedic program, with our billing program, we are trying to optimize the revenue for our EMS to decrease the burden to the taxpayer to provide this service. So the way that we bill, the services that we provide, the destinations where patients go, they may not all go to emergency departments in the near future. We may facilitate you to a clinic or facilitate you to your doctor's office. Those changes are coming as well as part of healthcare reform.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We appreciate having both of you.